Hilary Clinton began her Australian visit in Perth. ATV held a demonstration opposing the government's plan to issue a new free-to-air TV licence. Thank you for watching.
Making news in Perth, an advertisement campaign has been launched against youth drinking, and a surfing world champion status has been granted to the Margaret River Drug-Aware Pro.
This is the Evening News.
Good evening. US Secretary of State Hilary Clinton has arrived in Perth, beginning her 3-day visit to Australia.
GHK News understands that Mrs Clinton has met with Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard, accompanied by the American Secretary of Defence and Australian Foreign Minister. After her arrival, Mrs Clinton attended an AUSMIN meeting at Kings Park, followed by a reception hosted by the Premier of Western Australia in Cottesloe.
We'll have more Perth news late in the bulletin. Back to Hong Kong news now. ATV has staged a protest outside the government's headquarters, opposing the authorities' plan to issue another free-to-air television licence. The station argued the market doesn't have enough room to support another competitor. Hong Kong correspondent Choi has more.
A subsidiary of Asia Television staged a protest outside the government headquarters this Sunday, demanding the government to scrap the plan to issue new free-to-air TV licenses. The organizer, Asia Club, claimed around 400 people attended, but as we see, there are only around 100. The event featured ATV's talent show champions, Mr. and Miss Asia to be, as they perform on stage and live on TV. Some circulation around the web shows the station's management requesting employees to explain if they will be absent, but ATV has denied the accusation. Wang faced a media frenzy when leaving the plaza, as counter-protesters are restricted from entering. Legislators Claudia Mo and Gary Fan demanded a face-to-face talk with Wang, but were offended by Mr. Asia contestants. In the pro side, City Telecom released a statement that evening, insisting the benefits to the public and creative industry for issuing the new licenses. The Communications Authority says they have received nearly 2,000 complaints to the ATV's live relay, mostly against the station pushing their own agenda. Choi, DHK News, Hong Kong.
The Hong Kong government will revise whether or not it's appropriate for public housing to be constructed on land allocated for sale by private developers. The Secretary for Development, Paul Chan, told journalists that the authority will study the possible impacts before making the decision. But property agencies criticised the plan, saying it will decline the government's land revenue and the supply of new homes to the market.
In response to the rising demand of public housing, the government is considering to build on some land sites that are embarked for sale to property developers. Secretary for Development Paul Chan spoke to the media that the effect on private flat supply will be considered for making the decision. Currently, the government will sell land worth for 20,000 private units each year, while having 15,000 public housing flats built in the same period. Shi Wing-cheng, founder of a major property agency in Hong Kong, do not agree with Chan. He said the plan for turning unsold private plots into subsidized housing will reduce both in government revenue and the supply of new private homes. Laurent, DHK News, Hong Kong.
Here's Kristian Dwyer with what's coming up on DHK's current affairs program, WA Tonight.
Thank you, Ivan and Anna. Coming up on WA Tonight, a full recap of Hilary Clinton's visit to Perth, the gaming juggernaut that's about to hit our shores, and an attack on a footballing supporter group in Adelaide. This right after the news with Ivan Leung Ana Godden.
Thanks, Kristian. Remember to stay tuned. A television advertisement campaign was launched on Tuesday by Mental Health Minister Helen Morton, revealing the harm alcohol has on children's brain developments. Alarming survey results released the same day show those youngsters who do drink are doing it at increasingly risky levels, despite the recent decrease in youth drinking.
A new television campaign launched in Western Australia on Tuesday, explaining to parents the effects of alcohol on children's developing brains. A latest survey shows that more children are choosing not to drink until they're 18 years of age. However, for those who do drink, is doing so at increasingly harmful levels. Mental Health Minister Helen Morton said that the campaign is about giving parents and carers the important facts and latest research about their children and alcohol. Also, giving them helpful advices on how to influence their children's decisions about drinking alcohol.
The advertisement that we launched today is an assist to parents, because parents play an absolutely critical role in the attitude that children take to alcohol and alcohol use. And this is information for parents to enable them to be better informed about the potential damage of to developing brains on young people.
WA Governor's wife Tonya McCusker stated that it is the time to change the drinking culture for the safety of the young people.
I think Professor Steve Alsop just said there are 500 deaths over the last 10 years. Young people drinking too much. 3,300 hospitalisations. It's too many.
Also, Director of the National Drug Research Institute Steve Alsop concerned that young people having large portion of drinking might cause incidents and affect their reputation.
For some people that can pose great risk. They can be at risk of harming themselves from injury or being involved in violent incidents. Of course, there's a risk of alcohol overdose. A lot of people forget that you can overdose on alcohol.
Children's brains continues to develop until their early 20s. Evidence clearly shows that alcohol has the ability to damage young people's brain right up till their age of 20s. However, the problem is there is no research telling how much alcohol it takes to cause that damage. National guidelines recommend no alcohol is the safest and the best choice for under 18s. Queenie, DHK News.
The drug-aware Margaret River Pro has been granted World Championship Tour status by the Association of Surfing Professionals, promising that the world's top-ranked 32 males and 18 females will be competing head-to-head in the region. The women's event is expected to kick off next year, while the male events will approach in 2014.
Some of the best surfers in the world are expected to compete in Margaret River next year after the Association of Surfing Professionals granted World Championship Tour status to the drug-aware Margaret River Pro. Premier Colin Barnett said this represents an outstanding outcome for WA as it will attract more tourism to the region.
Look, this is fantastic, obviously, for Western Australia, for surfing, and for the promotion of this state that it will give on media around the world.
The Championship Tour status guarantees the arrival of 32 male and 18 female surfers ranked the best worldwide. The status also defines Margaret River as one of the top surfing places in the world.
There are 12 places where this event is held throughout the world. Western Australia is one of them, only 3 in Australia.
Tourism authorities also say the status confirms the reputation of Margaret River Surfers Point as a world-class surfing destination. Surfers WA CEO Mark Lane believes that bringing sports and surfing to an international level will not only benefit the region's reputation, but also motivate future generations of young surfers.
It's going to be a massive upgrade for them. Of course, the event goes for a lot longer. For surfing in WA, it means it's always been a popular sport, but it means that all the people of WA will now get to see the world's best for the next 5 years, which is pretty exciting.
The World Championship status will start next year with the female surfers team and in 2014 with the males team. Alexandra, Mollo, DHK News.
West Australian elders' effort towards the community were recognised on the weekend after they were complimented at this year's WA Senior Awards. The top award was presented to 61-year-old Kathleen Mazzella from Mollo, who's devoted her life to raise awareness about women's health in Australia and across the globe.
It's Seniors Week in Western Australia, and to kick off the festivities of the 2012 Bendigo Bank Seniors Week, the 2012 WA Seniors Awards were announced. Seniors Week, which occurs from the 11th through to the 18th of November, celebrates our golden generation, and the Seniors Awards, and in particular the Crown Perth WA Senior of the Year, celebrates those who help their community as well as the contribution they make to Western Australia as a whole. This year, the award went to Kathleen Mazzella of Mollo, who upon receiving the award was rapt by the attention, but also stressed the importance of her chosen field of advocacy, women's gynecological health.
I just think the more we can address these issues, the more we can help marriage situations and women having more confidence within themselves and understanding the risks and symptoms.
State Minister for Seniors and Volunteering, Robin McSweeney, paid tribute to all seniors who had received awards as varied as intergenerational efforts to those involved in the media, whilst hailing WA seniors as the backbone of the state.
It never fails to amaze me that our seniors in Western Australia, who are the backbone of our communities, just keep on keeping on. They do the most amazing volunteering, and it can range from anything right across Western Australia. And I always say that without our seniors, Western Australia would probably come to a screeching halt because they just do so many hours of voluntary work.
More than 100 events are planned to take place during this year's WA Seniors Week. Kristian Dwyer, DHK News.
And our main news again, US Secretary of State Hilary Clinton has arrived in Perth, beginning her 3-day visit to Australia, where she has met the Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard. And Hong Kong ATV has staged a protest outside the government headquarters, opposing the government plan to issue another free-to-air TV licence.
And that's how the world looks tonight. I'll have updates for you later.
Thanks for your company, and here is Kristian Dwyer with WA Tonight. Good evening.
Good night.
Thank you, Ivan and Anna. Welcome to WA Tonight. I'm Kristian Dwyer. It's a momentous occasion when a monarch comes to town, as evidenced by the royal attendance at the Melbourne Cup. But it can be equally as feverish when someone of political fame enters the fray.